Welcome back to another episode of KKC Consulting. We're in for a treat because this time I've traveled halfway across the world, all the way to England. We have Isaac, who is an associate consultant at Bain, but in the UK office. So, Isaac, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Pleasure to be here, Ma. Pleasure to be here.
That sounds great. Now, Isaac, before we really jump into your whole journey, because Bain's a massive name, I wanted to ask you, do you mind talking to me about honestly your journey just going through school, university, who you are as a person to the audience?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. This takes me a bit back. I guess in the first of all, best place to begin is probably my journey to Ben, and what sort of drove me towards the, let's say, corporate world and world of consulting. So yeah, let's start around the age of 16. I think I always had a some sort of interest into how the wider world worked around me, both from like let's say socioeconomic political sense, and then also from a business sense. Those are the two main drivers for me. So diving firstly into the let's say political aspects. When I was 16, I was just really engaged in the world around me, like seeing like a lot of incidents go around, like especially in the town where I grew up, Ipswich. There are a lot of like let's say stabbings and whatnot that weren't so common before, but they're happening around my area. And I was thinking to myself, okay, how do I get involved? Is there anything that I can do in like a bigger stage to hopefully try and make a bit of a difference? I think that's probably going to be the key word, trying to make a difference throughout. But yeah, so I ended up essentially applying to the UK Youth Parliament, which looks to mirror the actual UK Parliament in the sense that you get youth MPs for each of the constituencies across England and you get democratically elected. So I went on a little campaign trail trying to get people to vote for me. And I got elected and then was able to speak on topics such as ending period poverty, eradicating knife crime, etc. In the House of Commons, which was really cool experience. But more importantly, I was able to also help develop my town's first youth council to provide an opportunity for other people to also have a voice and a platform to share their views and opinions about what they wanted to see change within society or the, let's say, the key differences that they wanted to make. And then
I
on the
see.
flip side of that as well, the business side of things, I always had an interest in how businesses scale up. So I remember at school, me and a couple of
Yeah,
friends, we heard about an opportunity called Young Enterprise. Not sure if they have that in Canada, but essentially what it is,
I don't
it's
think so.
a okay, no worries. I'll explain what it is. Essentially, what it is, it's a super scaled down business that you're running in school teams that you look to, I guess, legitimize and look to hopefully also make profitable. So me and a group of friends, we had several couple of iterations of different types of products to sell. One of them was around Mother's Days. We made these. One person on the team, he had quite decent Photoshop skills. So he made like a little like poster, personalized like I love you mom poster cards for each like student that like bought one. And then we bought like a frame from like IKEA and then just rip people off. Or later down the line, we ended up, yeah, because there were a lot of like farms around the area where I grew up. So we went to the local farmers, sourced some beeswax, and turned into furniture polish. And again, potentially not rip people off, but we had a good yeah, we made it work. We made it work. We made it work. We made it work. We had a
Right.
good upside. But yeah, anyway, that probably got me interested into the world of business to begin with. So I was like, okay, how do small businesses grow and scale? And then I guess that sort of economic mindset, not conflicted, but it's sort of yeah, it was just almost like I had 2 points of view. Okay, do I want to go to university with
I
like a
see.
political sort of mindset, or do I want to go with like a business mindset? I feel as if at that point my economics teacher probably influenced me quite heavily in a sense that, yeah, she was a doctor of economics. And I really enjoyed her lessons. And yeah, she was just like, you're pretty good at business, would recommend you trying this. So I was like, you know what? Game plan is to do business or something related to that first and then come back to politics later down the line. So yeah, went off to UCL to study management science, which no one knows what that is either. Yeah. Should I explain what it is or should I just brush over?
Yes. Yes, please. Yes.
All right, great. Actually, I'll explain it with a question. If you were to think of the Olympics, what would you say is the most difficult event to, let's say, try and win a 100-meter race? Sorry, not try and win a 100-meter race, to try and win a gold medal. I might have just thrown away what
Try
I was
to
trying
win
to
a
get you
gold
to
medal.
say.
100-meter race?
Oh, okay, okay. Let's pretend you came up with that like completely organically. Anyway,
Right.
the program director, he would argue that management science is, or sorry, an economics degree would be more so uh, related to, let's say, a 100-meter race because you're purely just good like one thing. You're just like an econ student, right? Like that's what you do, and you do it to a very high level, and you do it to a
I see.
quite detailed level as well. Whereas management science, our program director would describe it as or describe you as more of a, let's say, heptathlete or decathlete, and whereby you're not necessarily, let's say, the best in the world at one thing, but you're pretty good and like pretty up in the rankings for like, let's say, your shot put, your javelin, which in our degree translates to, let's say,
Nice.
computational thinking, linear algebra, data marketing, programming, business economics, etc. All in the goal to try and create like holistic business leaders of tomorrow. But yeah, that's Mansai. I feel as though I got sidetracked again. Go to Bain. Okay. So from there, did management science, and then in second year, or sorry, in first year, I was applying for like spring weeks, which I'm sure they have in Canada
Right.
as well, across the
Yeah.
globe. At the start, I was just hearing buzzwords, investment banking, Goldman Sachs, JP. I was like, okay, probably should try and get involved. And eventually, I ended up getting an offer from PwC for management consulting. But then at the same time, I also got into the JPMorgan Advanced Black Pathway program, which is essentially like a program
Wow.
that helps you like speed run to final stage interviews for JP Morgan. But I actually, well, yeah, I got the final round interview for JP Morgan in the end,
Yeah.
but I ended up not turning up, which some people would argue is crazy. But for
Yeah.
me, it's like I got to a point of realization where I actually just didn't enjoy finance, like pure finance and
Fair
IB.
enough.
So I was like, if I'm really not enjoying the prep this much, I'm not going to enjoy it. So let me try and do something that I actually enjoy. And then, yeah, I ended up doing
I mean,
the
I'd argue that's. I mean,
reasonable.
I'd argue
Yeah.
that's aura, to be honest. Like getting the interview and then rejecting it.
Yeah. Reject them before they can reject you, I guess, right? Plus, yeah, I don't know. It was nice to send, and unfortunately, the other way around. So, yeah, no, I was happy. Yeah. But then, yeah,
I mean,
after
it worked
that,
out
did a
nicely. Management consultant at PW.
yeah, it worked out like pretty well. Honestly, it was like one of the most fun summers. Some of my best friends to date. I met them all there. So yeah, really had a great time there. But at the time, I didn't realize there was a difference between management consulting and strategy consulting. And then at that point, I was like, ah,
Uh-huh.
there's like McKinsey, Bain, BCG out there
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, I ended up applying for them for second year. Got rejected off the bat by McKinsey. Got to BCG final round. Got rejected. And then yeah, at that point, I was like, I guess pretty much down about strategy consulting. Didn't really think it was a fit for me. But then I was part of a charity called Rare Recruitment, which tries to help
Uh-huh.
people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds and whatnot try to break into, let's say, finance consulting, etc. And they pretty much just have like a, I would call it like not a nagging system, but like making sure that you apply to all available opportunities system. So yeah, the day before the True North Scholarship deadline for Bain and Company, they messaged me. They were like, "Hey, we've seen on a database that you still haven't applied. You should apply." And yeah, I guess I applied, and then here I am.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We have a system similar here in Canada.
Hmm.
I believe it's called Onyx, if I'm not mistaken. I have to get the
Yeah.
CEO on the podcast still. I haven't asked him just yet. I'm
Uh,
trying to plan who to ask first. But it's a really cool initiative. It's nice because you give people chances where initially they probably wouldn't get it just because, you know, who consulting usually picks out first, right?
yeah. Actually, it was actually an interesting experience at my BCG. Can I? Yeah, BCG final round interview. So the day before, they called me up and they were asking me if I wanted to, or if I was willing to change my interview time. And at that point, I was like pretty sad going in at the time I had originally been scheduled for. So I was like, would it be possible to stay? And then they were like, why? Where are you traveling in from? Oxford or Cambridge? And then I was like, sorry, what? Yeah. So yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, that was an interesting experience. And then yeah, lo and behold, I turned up the next day, and it was yeah,
You must have
mostly
been
it was
like 18 years old or 19?
yeah. That point I would have been 19, 19. Yeah, yeah.
That's a funny phone call. I would have been really scared if
No,
if I
genuinely,
knew
I
you were
was
19.
like, I'm done for it. I'm done for it. Yeah,
They genuinely said, "Are you traveling from Oxford to Cambridge?" Like that's it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow. I mean, what led you to keep pursuing strategy consulting? I mean, it worked out really well for you getting into Bain.
Yeah. I think for me, it was always like an interest into the higher level thinking, right? Like, what is it that makes the biggest businesses around the world tick? And what are some of the biggest problems that organizations across the globe are facing? And actually helping them with the overall strategy. Whereas I feel as if with management consulting, it was a lot more like operational. So, like, okay, once you've actually solved the problem,
Right.
how are we going to implement the solution that's been provided? And I don't know.
Uh-huh.
For me, I prefer the like going into something, not really knowing what the answer is, and then working through with a team, and then being able to solve it that way rather than already being given an answer and then building on that, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. I just
Sure.
prefer the strategic lens. Well, that sounds I shouldn't use that word in the explanation, but yeah, I feel so strategy consulting gives me more of a kick. I would say a bit more excitement.
That's fair. Would you feel that I just made this analogy right now?
Hmm.
Management is almost as if you have the puzzle pieces, you're just trying to piece them together, but strategy is like you're trying to find the puzzle pieces and trying to see like
Exactly.
what actually completes the entire frame.
Exactly. So yeah, you're starting with the borders, like trying to see, okay, what is the actual picture, and then management consultant, that's just filling it in. So yeah, great analogy.
Thank you. Thank you. Now that's cool. Do you feel, because I've always had this question, like KKC Consulting has a bunch of people from UK working in, and when I first found out that you guys have a 3-year program as compared to a 4-year program, I've always wanted to ask, do you feel it's a bit too rushed? Like,
The
you kind of, as soon as you're 18, you have to like just discuss what your entire life's gonna look like.
I mean, there are some occasions where I do think it's rushed, especially like at a place like Bain. You meet people like that start as associate consultants at all different walks of life. Right? I remember, well,
Right.
yeah, one of my first supervisors. Yeah, to this day, I still think he's the most qualified person on earth. Like, he was a surgeon, then went to UCL, did a master's in data analytics as well.
Wow.
Yeah, just so much experience. Whereas, like, I'd pretty much gone straight out of university. I joined Bain when I was 21. So it's very much just like, whoa, okay, am I a bit behind? Do I need some life or like any other sort of experience first? Like, is there a gap missing? But I feel as if once you actually do join, you start to realize, like, I don't know. For me, uni was like super useful in terms of just giving me like the skills and the change in mindset that's almost prepares you for the world of work. But I feel as if there's never really going to be a point where you're going to feel 100% ready, no matter what point you, let's say, leave university. And is it a 1 year difference between, let's say, the British and the Canadian system isn't necessarily always going to provide that for some people. Yes, okay, that might be like a great, like, additional bit of breathing room. Whereas, yeah, for others, like, such as, like, I say myself, I was just happy to throw myself into the deep end. So, yeah.
Well, that's fair. I mean, it worked out really, really well for you at the end.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I guess for me, I was just keen to graduate and then, yeah, start working as soon as possible. So much
Right.
so that,
So
yeah,
talk
after
to,
grad, yeah, sorry, no, you go on.
no, no, my bad. Keep going.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, yeah, I don't know why I did this actually. Right after, like, 2 weeks after I finished my exam, before I joined Bain, I decided to do an internship as well, like a 10-week internship in like wealth management, which was, yeah, quite random, but again, like a lot of good exposure. I enjoyed it. But then I only had a week between that and starting Bain. Yeah, would recommend some sort of breathing room, I would say.
No, fair enough. I have a buddy. He's in the Oliver Wyman Toronto office right now, and
Hmm.
he just went on like a Europe trip. Like he went to Paris and
Yeah,
a bunch of other places, if I'm not mistaken. But that's pretty cool. I want to try doing that before just going like full time, and being
yeah,
like
yeah.
a working adult.
Honestly, that would be my recommendation. I think that's one of my regrets. Yeah. There's so much of the world to see, and you literally have your whole
Yeah.
life to work. There is no rush. There's no need to rush. Like everyone before me joining Bain said the exact same thing. Like, don't rush. Like you're gonna regret it. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna regret it. I regret it. So yeah, definitely do go to Europe.
Yeah, because like even here in Pakistan, like it's so crazy. I was thinking to myself this, it's so crazy to see the difference in lifestyle
Hmm.
from living in Canada to living in Pakistan. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned, like just the difference in the purchasing power that I usually have. Like I'll give you an example. Like today, I gave this kid like 50 rupees, right? And 50 rupees to Canadian dollars is approximately 20 cents. And the kid was so happy in getting the
Overjoyed.
20 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas like if I threw like 20 cents at my boys, they'd probably like slap me or something, right? They'd
Yeah.
just get
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
angry. And it's so crazy to really think about it. Like the kid was smiling ear to ear. And it's so
Yeah.
nice to see that sometimes while you're working, the small things in life, they can really just help out someone, right?
Yeah.
That those 50 rupees due to the state of Pakistan's economy right now could probably buy him like two whole lunches. But
Yeah.
it's nice to see that put in a little bit of effort and it can really change someone's life. And honestly, sometimes it could even save their life.
Yeah, yeah, no, agreed. That's why, like, for me, whenever I'm on a trip, like on holiday, it's always like the most eye-opening sense in or
Yeah,
eye-opening thing in the sense that you realize there's actually so much more to life than just being stuck behind your
yeah,
desk. Like, there's people actually really going through it. I feel as if, like, yeah, the corporate world as well. Sometimes it definitely does put you into a bit of a bubble and sort of
yeah.
desensitizes you to what's going on around. So yeah, super important to just try and stay grounded.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm currently working at a Islamic fintech startup right now. It's called Munzel, and it's really cool because my boss, like as a team, we usually have like these Thursdays blocked out for just weekly retreats and making sure that our intentions are solid. And I appreciate that so much
Hmm.
because it's really important to always make sure that
Yeah,
your intention while working is
yeah,
solidified. Like it's not, you're not supposed to just be money hungry, just chasing money constantly, 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 chasing
yeah,
learning, chasing helping others, chasing like money is cool. I love money too, but it
yeah.
shouldn't be like the sole factor.
Focus. Yeah, yeah. No, agreed. And yeah, I feel as if the longer that I've been in consulting, the more I've begun to think that way too. Like definitely pre-university, I guess the focus was to go to university, try and make as much money as I can when I leave, whatnot.
Right.
Because didn't necessarily like come from like a lot, so it's like okay, I've got to try and make it, whatnot. Whereas like yeah, having I've like worked here for actually no, yeah, there's this one thing that I never really understood back in school. So my economics teacher that I was referencing earlier, she had like a super qualified as well. She was a doctor of economics, like super qualified and one of the most intelligent people like I've met. And me and my friends, we always used to wonder if she's so smart, why isn't she working at like a big bank and whatnot? And she always used to say, I prefer being a teacher because of like the warm, glowy feeling it gives me in my heart. That's what she used to say, like word for word. And it used to be like, what? Nah. But yeah, the older I've gotten, that I've been, more that I've been working, the more I started to see what she means. And it honestly is like the little things. And you've really got to try find what gives you meaning and gives you passion. So yeah.
Maximizing shareholders.
Yeah, I say that's a consultant. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
No, but
yeah,
I get you. I get you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like props to your teacher because
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to just back away from what everyone else is chasing and just say, "Hey, listen, I'm comfortable. I'm not
yeah,
insecure. I'm comfortable with what my goals are. I'm comfortable with what I'm trying to achieve." I have a lot of respect for people who can do that because like me and my buddies, we always say this. It's really important to just have your intention set
yeah,
right. Like it doesn't matter. Maybe you just want money. That's okay, but like as long as you have that intention to get it from the get-go, I feel as if that's not really a problem just because now you have a goal in mind that you're working towards. At the same time, like on the flip side of that coin, maybe your goals to other people aren't that big. Maybe you just want to settle at home, maybe live in an apartment. You just don't want to work as much, but you're okay with, not having the biggest car, the biggest home, the biggest, the best food and all of that. And I feel that's totally cool as well. Just making sure that you're okay with whatever I want to say quote unquote the consequences are, but that's not even the word that I'm looking for. Just whatever the flip side is to what you're deciding to go for.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, 100% in agreement with you. Yeah, well said.
Yeah. And then kind of taking it back to the podcast, because I know we went on a little tangent. I didn't want
Yeah.
to ask you, because you've had so many different experiences, which is really cool. I love that. Do you mind talking to me about what you have stored in mind for the future, like maybe 5, 10 years from now?
I'm still trying to figure that out. That's the short answer. Yeah, I'm not sure if there is a longer answer, to be honest. Yeah, yeah. I think for me, it's just like a continual reassessment of my state of happiness. So yeah, at
Fair,
the moment, what
fair.
I'm doing is like every like let's say 6 months to like a year, I'll like take like time to myself to like properly reflect. Okay, am I happy where I currently am with what I'm doing? If I'm not happy, is there something else that I'd rather be doing? And then sort of like weigh up like pros and cons to both sides. And right now, I think all things considered, like I'm happy. So yeah, for now, probably just keep going as I am, um, then eventually I definitely want to, well, yeah, ideally within, I guess, even less than 5 years, looking to get more involved into the social impact space again, looking to make a difference for young people, because I feel as if that was like my first like proper like, whoa, I have a burning passion for this, so would ideally
Yeah.
be able to do something that blends the two together full time, that in business. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Right. No, I get that. That's really cool, and it's admirable because a lot of people they have that question memorized, like what's my goal in 5 years to
Yeah,
become partner, to become like senior manager. But I appreciate you for being completely honest with that.
yeah, 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 yeah. No worries.
And then there's also a question I had in mind. It might be a bit personal, so feel free to skip this question. But
Hmm.
when you first got the Bain acceptance, how did your
Yeah,
parents react?
it was a great day. Like wow. Um, so I remember after my second round or final round interview, I was a bit like unsure, in the sense that I knew that I'd messed up on one of the questions. Well, not necessarily messed up. I definitely gone around a long-winded way of getting to like the maths
Right.
calculation. I was like, okay, am I going to get penalized for this? So it's very much just like, I have no idea if I'm going to get an offer or not. I get a phone call from the partner that actually gave me that
Wow.
interview, and he was like, "Oh
Oh,
yeah,
that's
we'd
so
be
cool.
delighted to what do you say? Delighted to offer you a position of associate consultant at Bain." And I was just like, I'm pretty sure I screamed down the phone, and then I heard my mom and dad screaming at the next door as well. And then, yeah, like when the offer actually came as well, like I put it up on the TV so they could see it whilst I was like signing it.
Yeah.
Like it was honestly one of the happiest moments. Like it was like, whoa, like all the years of schooling and university and whatnot had not been in vain, and all of the parents'
Yeah.
sacrifice and whatnot, hadn't been in vain either. So I was just like so happy. I think partially for them as well. Like, I'm not sure if I was happier for them or for me. Um, yeah, definitely a very happy household that day.
No, I get that. I get that. I mean, I think this would probably be episode, but from all the people that I've talked to, there's so many who just said like, listen, the only reason I wanted to go into consulting, like sure, there's personal reasons to it, but just a smile on my parents' face when I got the
Yeah,
acceptance letter, and like
yeah,
it gets me jealous. I'm excited to have that like 1, 2 years from now because
yeah, yeah.
it
No,
would
for
probably
sure.
be like a really cool feeling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, yeah. And yeah, I guess the funny thing as well is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure at that point, like, yeah, they weren't really so sure what my actual job would be, like what I'd be doing. They were just like so happy to see it all like come to an end and whatnot.
Right.
So yeah, no, it was just yeah,
No,
beautiful
that's fair.
to make my parents happy.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then on that topic, let's say there's a student who's trying to become a future consultant, whether in strategy, management, regardless, whether they're in the UK or Canada, what advice would you give them?
Good, great question. To begin with, I'd recommend just reaching out. Reaching out. This is something that I used to do as well. Would really recommend still doing this. Reaching out to people that are in a position that you could potentially see yourself in, and just look to have an open conversation about what their route to, let's say, consulting was, and if they have any specific resources and whatnot that they use. Like for me, for instance, I'm a massive advocate of Case Coach. So anyone that reaches out to me, I would
Yeah,
recommend them trying to like get an account if possible. Or other than that, my other biggest recommendation is casing live rather than by yourself. Because I feel as if for me, when I was casing by myself, I would always or mostly find myself in a position where I'd say, okay, if this was the real thing, I would do X, Y, Z differently. Whereas the beautiful thing with consulting cases is that if you're doing it live with someone else, it's pretty much going to be a mock, right? And you doing,
yeah,
let's say, 10, 15 plus mocks is going to get you pretty well prepared for the interviews. So yeah, I'd say those are my two biggest pieces of advice: practicing live with people, and then also just reaching out and having a conversation, so you can further find out what it is first of all that consultants do, and whether it is a job that you see yourself in, and then thirdly as well,
yeah.
whether the company that you're applying for is as much of a fit for you as vice versa. So yeah, I'd say those couple bits.
No, that's fair, and I appreciate those advices, especially the fact that you should always know what consulting is before, and even investment banking. Like I know so
Yeah,
many
yeah,
buddies
yeah,
who just say, we just go down the, oh, they pay the most, let me just get into it. But they don't even
yeah,
know what they
yeah,
do, right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
So I appreciate that a lot, and I feel it's important. But apart from that, thank you very much, Isaac. I appreciate the advices, the stories, the journey, and I mean, I'm sure we'll have a second episode sometime in the future as well.
yeah, for sure. I'd love to, and yeah, thanks so much for your time, Amar, and yeah, all the best for the future.
Of course.
I'm sure you're going to even
Yes.
greater things. So yeah, keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll maximize even more shareholders' equity.
There we go.
And as for the viewers of KKC Consulting, thank you very much for tuning into this week's episode. We'll see who the guest is for next week. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure it'll be someone amazing. Thank you very much.